mic comes, I don't want to waste your time. Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Aishwarya Parmeshwar Iyer, and I am a student of class 12, presently studying at Sarla Birla Gyan Jyoti Guwahati. Your career has been a huge source of inspiration for me, sir, and I was hoping that you could guide me on the best way to study foreign relations and foreign policies between different countries and how to pursue a career in international relations.
You know, if I were to truthfully answer that question, I think you'll find I'm a very bad guide. And I'll tell you why. I didn't know for a long time what I really wanted to do. So, in a sense, I'm a little older than all of you. So, in those days, I must say, you didn't have that many choices. You didn't have that much information. Your parents were more inflexible than I think I've been to my kids. So you sort of drifted along till you found your groove. And I must say, as part of the drift, I even spent a few months in an IIT, in IIT Delhi actually. I had registered for a master's degree in chemistry. And somewhere I think I realized, okay, this chemistry and I are not a natural fit. But when I look back, I would only say this to you, which I actually told my children, and it of course made them do strange things. Do what you are actually interested in. If you can make a profession of your passion, I can tell you, you will be excellent at it. So when I finally actually hit political science, like the Chief Minister, as a subject, I read my course books. You know, they gave you a reading list for the semester. I actually read it because I found it fun. I enjoyed it. So it took me a few weeks to finish a few months' work, and I didn't even realize I was actually doing my course study. So I think it's very important. You know, you hear this cliche, you should be pursuing your dreams. Let me tell you, it actually has a practical sense. Those who have a deep interest in something, you want to go after it. I know the difficulties. You know, I still remember the day telling a family where everybody had done science that I had decided to switch from a master's in organic chemistry to a master's in political science. It was not an easy conversation. So, but my advice to you is this: stick with what you really have a feel for, and I assure you it'll work.
Thank you, sir.
The next question is from Sumit Nayan.
Namaste, sir. I am Sumit Nayan from BTech first year from IIT Guwahati. Sir, my question to you is, how you feel when you have to take the decision on the behalf of 125 crore people of India? It's too much pressure, I think, in my opinion. And how you able to handle this pressure and the responsibility?
I think it's 1:36 now. But that's okay, you know. Maybe it's changed even while this meeting is going on. But look, I tell you one thing. It's not pressure. It's actually you have I don't know, a kind of a tailwind, you know, something out there which gives you a bounce, a different sense. Because you know, I don't want this to sound as lacking in humility. That's not my intent. But the fact is, when you speak for every fifth or sixth person in the world, when the decisions which you have influenced or contributed to impact so many people, when you know, you feel pressure if you feel your mistakes can harm them, which is completely understandable, but then you also have that adrenaline when your good judgments can help them, can take them forward. So I would say overall, you know, when you stand out there representing India, and I mean, how do I put it to you? You know, when your national anthem plays, when your flag goes up, when you're standing out there, it's a feeling very difficult to describe. And it's a very good feeling.
Thank you.
The next question is from Deepak Kumar Mishra.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Deepak Kumar Mishra. I'm a research scholar from Chemical Engineering Department here. So my question to you, sir, in the current geopolitical situation, how can India manage to maintain its stand of non-alignment in such a polarized world? Thank you.
Look, this is not a new challenge, but I grant you, every time it happens, when the world polarizes, it has its own complications. And we are at that state right now, because partly, I mean, there are multiple reasons. The conflict in Ukraine is one reason, but that's not the only reason. I think the polarization in Asia has a very completely different reason for it and a basis for it. How do you manage it? First of all, we need to be clear about what our interests are. We need to be confident that we will be pursuing them. At the same time, we need to be skilled to both build a narrative and harmonize what are our interests with as many others as possible in the international community. You know, I can stand up and say, you know, look, this is what India wants, this is what India thinks. It's not easy, difficult to do. But I would not be doing my job if I did it in a way in which I alienate everybody else in the room who actually feel, well, you know, this person is a very selfish person who's only thinking of themselves. And we are not. I mean, we are not a selfish country. In fact, I mean, we are a country which in many ways has been generous even at a time when, you know, we were much poorer. So a lot of this, what you know, you ask me, how do you handle a polarized world? I think once you have the clarity, once it is backed up by confidence, once in a sense I would say you've done your numbers right, you've done your preparations, you figure out what are the interests of other people, and then you put it to them in a way in which it makes sense. You know, diplomacy is, a lot of it is a very intercultural exercise. You're talking to somebody from a very different society, often with a different language or, you know, any other social characteristic. And if you're really good in your business, you need to understand what is in their mind and put it to them in a way in which they will understand it, which is where experience and education comes in. So if you are to use an example, you know, if I were to talk to an American or a Russian or a Chinese or a Japanese, I would use an example from their history, from their society, a metaphor which they will understand. But it is, you know, a similar activity I can describe to you is a little bit like sports. You know, a good batsman has to know what is going through the bowler's mind. And that's really when you read the ball coming in. So it's a test, okay, because there's a competition going on here. Each one tries to be a step beyond the other. I mean, diplomacy is very, very often like that. So it does take, actually, as I said, you know, it's not a bad life, but it's a very hard life. It requires a lot of hard work, a lot of diligence, a lot of understanding of what other people are about.
Thank you, sir.
Next, I request Professor Pahi Saikia to ask a question.
Thank you. A very good afternoon, sir. Thank you for being here and for your wonderful thoughts that you shared with us today. Sir, this question, I am Pahi Saikia. I teach political science. My focus is international relations and comparative politics in IIT Guwahati in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences.
Okay, so there would have been a future for me in IIT. I'm delighted to know that.
Yes. My question is related to the Chin refugees in Mizoram, which is very specific, and its relations, India's relations with our neighboring country, Myanmar, and have been working on it for a few years now. Sir, we have seen that undocumented migration has, a lot of ethnocultural reasons, particularly people displaced from Myanmar in the current context, and also in history we have seen toward the neighboring regions, particularly in India's northeast. And in Mizoram, we have seen that, particularly in Mizoram, you'll see in more than 11 districts, the displaced people from the Chin district, state of Myanmar have taken shelter. So in this present context, sir, what do you think could be done to address the question or the security concerns that we have in relation to the undocumented people settling or taking shelter in Mizoram, both from a traditional or a military as well as a non-traditional and human security perspective? Thank you so much.
I'll give you two answers, one specific to Myanmar and one as a general approach. Come please to sit down. The Myanmar answer would be this. Look, there is no point, you can't fix this problem at a third order consequence. If things were not happening on our border, something happened in Yangon and Napido in the capital, which then created a cascading impact, which finally spills onto our border, which is what you are talking about. So I can be sympathetic to what is to a human situation on my border, but it doesn't solve the problem. If I have to fix it, I have to go back to what is in a sense, the root cause. And the root cause today is really what happened when the military took over from the previous NLD government. So what we are trying to do is really to see if we can contribute in some way to fixing that problem. Because if that problem gets fixed, then this will automatically solve itself. I can only apply band-aids at this level. It will not really fix that problem. And my challenge is, you have countries which are far away, who have, very black and white positions. They don't have to deal with the consequences of it. If I was sitting 5,000 miles away, I can also give sort of very sweeping prescriptions. But if I'm next door, I have a very different take. Because for me, you referred to the fact that there are people coming over. I'll give you other examples. We are finding people across the boundary are not vaccinated. So actually, because the governance has weakened or deteriorated so much in Myanmar, our border areas have an exposure to the pandemic which is not right, which is not fair. We are seeing actually shortages of food as well, and it's not that there is a supply problem, there is often a distribution problem. So we actually believe today that there should be a greater effort made at sorting out the larger political crisis in Myanmar, so that this third order consequence that you are referring to is addressed. But having said that, I want to make one general observation. Look, everybody, we're all human beings. None of us likes to see grief or sorrow or distress or humanitarian situation. But we also have our own homes to run. We have our societies to take care of. To me, progress and good governance is not being, I would say, oblivious to what is happening on our borders and what it then does at home. I mean, I think today we have the ability to actually track what is happening on our border, to monitor that, to ensure that, the rights of our citizens and the interests of our country is also equally protected. We are not open house for the rest of the world. I don't think it is in our interest to be so.
Next question is from